Hi, Book of Face peeps. It is Sparkles here. If you missed the live in my Facebook group, Chicks That Mean Business, you missed a doozy. But guess what? Well, this isn't talking about aspirational marketing. What I'm going to be talking about today is belief and your ability to change belief, its power in your life. Hi, Teresa. How are you? As you can see, after our conversation yesterday, I am buzzing. Anyway, sidetrack. Hi, Stephen. How are you? I really wanted to talk about belief because I did share a post earlier, and one of my old school friends made a little comment, and I wanted to do this video for him. But also for anyone else who has some past stories that are holding them in a space that doesn't serve them now. So I'll get straight into it now. I've had a minute and 12 to ramble on to give people time to join live. So the power of the past and the power of our past stories to hold us in a space that doesn't serve us. For me, understanding that I had a choice around how I wanted to live and show up, and what the ego did in all of this was some pretty big game changers for me. Now, let's talk about the ego, because we all have one, and there's different beliefs around what the ego is and what it does and da-da-da. For this conversation, I'm going to be talking about how the ego is there to keep us safe, to keep us in a space that it knows, to keep us in the energy that it understands, because the ego is in a place of fear that if we change, something might happen to us. And it's also the hindbrain. I've just got some notes down here. It's also the hindbrain as well, and just all of this stuff. So it all ties into our beliefs and our stories. Because what happens with the ego, right? And this, when I stepped into deciding that I didn't want to be unhappy anymore, it took a little while to get started to actually own that. Because the ego, in all its wisdom, tricked me a couple of times into thinking that I was taking the right action. And it was keeping me in this space where I actually wasn't. So while I was making decisions to get help and support in certain things, I was getting the wrong help. The support wasn't the support that I needed. And so it wrapped up its showing up as me looking to change and grow, and it wrapped up that pretending to help in a whole shitload of bad decisions and bad choices. Anyway, so you want to be aware of like how your ego is playing out in this. But the biggest thing I wanted to share for my old school friend is what, to me, belief is. And belief is the sum and stories of our past forming our now. And unless we look at those stories and decide what they really mean, quite often for many of us, they're stories that don't allow us to grow. They're stories that hold us in pain. And until we consciously decide that we want to shift our beliefs around who we are, how we show up, and all that we can be, those past stories are going to be the thing that drives us, because our current beliefs are based on that. And until we go looking for ways, oh, hi, Kerry. Hi, Colin. Until we go looking for ways to change those beliefs and stories, nothing in our life will change. And as somebody who used to self-harm, was very self-destructive, and didn't realize my own power to shift and change my now and to create the future that I actually wanted, not the future that people in my past told me that I was allowed to have, which is nowhere near where it is right now, right? until I owned the fact that I could change that and consciously made a choice to change it and very deliberately went looking for ways to shift those outcomes and decided that I was worthy, all my beliefs around who I was, who I could be, and how I could show up were all wrapped up in those past stories. And they're stories. And guess what? You can pick up a pen and you can rewrite the story. You can shift the meaning. You can change the energy. And one of the most empowering things I ever did for myself was to go back to those old stories and those old things that caused me pain and allowed me to just sit in misery and blame and point the finger and never take any responsibility, was the decision to go back and filter for those lessons that were in there. Why did I go and spend time with that person? Why did I decide to party? Why did I do all of the things I did? And I took back my responsibility in that, and I decided, okay, great learning points, great ways to move forward and learn from, but I don't have to be that person that I was in that moment. Because that person, she didn't have the tools or the skills or the knowledge or the understanding that she could show up differently. And there's a saying out in the personal development world, what I focus on expands, right? And I spent 28 good years focusing on everything that I didn't have, didn't get, everything that was unkind, all the mean things that people said to me growing up, all of the bad experiences. And for 28 years, that energy kept going out and I kept attracting the very thing that was causing me pain. Now, I am still really getting into my spiritual practices and understanding spiritual law. But ultimately, we are at cause. We have the thought, we have the feeling, we have the belief. We send that energy out to the universe. And so we have the ability to consciously choose our thoughts. Now, for some people, they hear that, boom, easy change. Some people some people like me, takes a little while to get their head around that and create the change. But if you're constantly focusing on the bad, the lack, the disappointment, the sad, that's what you're going to see coming back at you. And as I said to my friend in the comment, it's like, you got to focus on what you want. You've got to start going, okay, that happened, but what do I want? Who am I now? Because all we are is now. Like, we are now, right in this moment. And yes, in the quantum universe, it's a spiral and time, and that's a whole other story for another day, because I'm not the best person to teach that right now. But for right now, you are now. And you get to go, okay, who do I want to show up as? So I have 20K Trudy and I have Turak Trudy, right? So Turak Trudy, she's got $1 million plus business. She lives in a beautiful home. I love my home now, but a bigger home, right? Some few more luxuries, And she goes out and she speaks and she presents and she works with high-level clients, other business women that have $500,000 plus businesses. Like, this is her. This is who I aspire to. So I think every day, what would Turak Trudy do? And I chose Turak Trudy because that's an affluent suburb in Melbourne. Whether or not I end up living there is a whole other conversation, right? But that's the energy. And if you can sit down and spend a bit of time every day going, who do I want to be? And give yourself permission to own it. And even if it's, not the big version yet, start rewriting your story, start shifting your energy, start giving yourself permission. Now, this isn't a coaching session. This is just to get you thinking, what am I putting out into the world? How am I showing up in this moment? How do I want to show up? And is that different? What do I need? What resources do I need to call in to be able to do that? Because the universe, God, whatever you believe in, God doesn't want you to sit here being unhappy. It's actually an abundant universe. But for a good 30 plus years, probably 40 years, let's be honest, my beliefs and values couldn't see that. So I had to consciously go out there and search, and I had to heal, and I had to make choices and decisive action about what I wanted and give myself permission to welcome that in. So it's doable. For those of you that know my story, for those of you that don't, I was pretty effing miserable for a very, very long time. And this is why I'm so like, oh, why did they not teach this stuff in schools? They so need to teach this stuff in schools. And I had a long battle with the education department about this. But it really boils down to choice, to deciding that you're worthy, start figuring out who you want to be, how you want to show up, and taking action, even if it's small little steps every single day to choose who you want to be. And understand the beliefs that you have now, they're all based on the past stories, past experiences, but they don't have to be who you are. So hopefully that helps. That went a little longer than I anticipated. But hey, if a girl from the country who got called the charity kid in primary school and went through a fair share of shit in her life because she had to keep playing it out to see if she could heal from it that way, if a girl like me can sit here and go, fuck man, the world is abundant, it's limitless, God has our back, you get what you put out. If I can do it, so can you. So get the help to do it if you can't do it by yourself. Get the support that you need to create the life that you want. Because I believe in you, because I have the evidence in me here with you right now that you can change. It just starts with a decision. And for my sciencey-based people who are going, oh, fuck off with the God shit, Trudy, because I know there's some of you out there, and that was me, a year ago as well. Go and watch The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. And if you want some reading, this book keeps popping up everywhere, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Really, really good book to get you started and to start looking at where some of this stuff has come from. I would suggest you probably will need a coach or somebody to help you implement that if you haven't done a lot of personal development work. There are lots of free resources out there. You can get paid coaching, you can get support. You have to want it. And it took me when I was 28 years old to go through one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. It took me having to hit rock bottom and go through heaps of shit to make that decision. You don't have to wait until things are so bad you're ready to quit. Don't wait. Do it now. Just take the action. Do something about it now. Anyway, here endeth the sermon. But having spent so much of my life in pain and trapped by old beliefs, I felt this was really, really important to share. Because I am the poster child for it, right? So, yeah, if you can't see it for yourself yet, see it through me. All right. Happy Sunday, everyone. Oh, that was a bit deep for a Sunday afternoon, but yeah, important. And if you have any questions or if you want to share any of your experiences in the comments, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm going to leave it there. I'm heading out for a barbecue thing tonight, so I'll be on and offline. All right, see ya.